Cypress has something called custom commands. But what exactly are they and why would you even need them? If you ever found yourself copying and pasting the same sci.get.type.click all over the place, all over your code, then this video is going to help you clean that up. We're going to walk through what custom commands are, how to write them, and how to get Cypress to understand your own reusable actions. But there's one command pattern that trips up a lot of beginners. If you don't get it right, your commands won't chain the way you expect them. So stick around for that because we'll tackle it in just a bit. Oh, and if you're just starting out or trying to clean up messy test code, don't miss my free guide, Top 5 Test Automation Best Practices. The link's in the description. Grab it while you watch. Let's start with the basics. What exactly is a custom command in Cypress? And how is it different than a helper function? A custom command is how you add your own reusable commands to Cypress, like sci.login, or sci.fillForm, or sci.addToShoppingCart. So you can stop repeating boilerplate code across test files. Here is a quick intro to a custom command. I'm just going to walk through what it looks like. So the very first thing, we're going to use cypress.commands.add, and this will add a new custom command to the global namespace of Cypress. So cypress.commands.add. Now let's get into the actual function. So this right here, just to kind of drill it home here, this is how to add a new command. And then the next part right here, this next parameter, this is going to be the name of the function. So let me show you what that looks like. If I just flip over here, sci.addToDo, that's the name of the function now. And then finally right here, well, not finally, but you have this parameter that's passed to the function. So I only have one parameter right here, and if you see it in action over here, it's like, oh, we want to add the string for the to-do. And here it just types that string, whatever you type in, and then clicks the button to add it. But if you wanted multiple parameters, let's say we had a prioritized list for a to-do list, then this one could be priority. We can add that in when we would change this command to be, hey, it's learn custom commands, it's a high priority. That's basically it. This is the simplest custom command and how you can add them, and probably the majority of what you're going to put into Cypress, depending on your app. But yeah, Cypress commands.add to add a new one, the name of what you want to add, the parameters, and if there are no parameters, you don't even need to have a parameter. This could be empty. And finally, you're going to put in the actual Cypress code down here. And popping over here, you see this is how it looks. Let me get rid of this hi, and I'll show you how the app is running. And let me get rid of all this. Okay, back to where we were. And now let's run the app. Already ran automatically, but let me run this again. So just add, learn custom commands. So it works. That's the simple high-level overview of what a custom command is. You're going to see in the next example just how powerful this becomes. once we start chaining multiple commands together, and it starts making your test files read like plain English. So why not just copy and paste your test logic? Why go through the trouble of creating custom commands? Because testing is supposed to reflect behavior, not implementation. You want your test file to say login as admin, not type into pound username .div .this .class.style nth child whatever. That's just noise. We start getting into domain specific language, which means having your own code read like how your app works. If you're testing an e-commerce app, you'd want reusable methods like add item to cart, calculate shipping, and checkout. This makes it sound like you're talking to your app, not like you're talking like Cypress. Let's compare what a test looks like without the custom commands on the left here and with custom commands on the right here. And we're going to basically take the app and add 3 horror movies, verify that they're there, and then uncheck them. Or check them. I think, yeah, just check them. Verify they're all done. And yeah, so let's just walk through this and compare things side by side. So first on the left is without any. And let's just visually look at this. That's just a lot of sci.get.parent.click.find.get. You know, if you didn't have these comments here, it'd be very kind of difficult to figure out exactly what's going on here. You can see like the .to-dos, you can probably infer what's going on, but you have to think about it. You have to like sit and look at the code for a while. That's bad. Because people reviewing the code or a new person's taking over your code, you want them to be able to understand your code quickly as possible. So let's go over here to the right, and you'll see much simpler. You don't see those sci.gets everywhere. You just see a very few commands, and they all look like they're kind of written like sentences. So you get a clear idea, just visually, the feel of it, the style of it looks cleaner on the right. But let's actually step through things here. Yeah, and you also notice it's a lot less code over here and a ton of code over here on the left. So first line here, pretty much the same. But the next one is where we start getting into the changes. On the left here, you know, since we have this nice little add multiple to-dos, you know, it lends itself to like, hey, let's just, you know, make an array and pass it in to add multiple to-dos versus adding things in one at a time over here. So it reduces all of this lines of code into this, which isn't a giant change, but imagine if you had 50 items. You'd only have to enter 50 array items here instead of going through all of this 50 times. Then heading down, you want to verify all these movies. And this one, yeah, you can just take those horror movies and loop through. If we had the same loop over here, we could probably reduce this just to the sci.contains. But we've simplified this whole thing. It's now behind this verify to do. So if there were additional verifications that had to be done, it's now behind this verify to do. So let's say, like, in addition to just verifying that, hey, this text is visible, you wanted to verify, hey, the totals and the progress and all that stuff also. Or maybe you change colors and things as you click things. If there are additional things as the feature grows, you can add it to this verify to do. But without that, you're just going to be coming here and just adding .should, and you might miss when you're adding these others. So this is now a lot more simple. Sci.verify to do. And basically the similar thing with all this. You see all these check marking things, whereas you can just go here and toggle the to do right here. And just loop through, toggle. Verify them all, just loop through, verify. And that's what this is doing right here. making sure everything is completed, but you notice it's all like behind this verify to do. Verify to do stats. And this is one I like because it really makes things look simple. So instead of doing this sci.get stats for a total 3, and then do it again to get this, and then remaining 0, you got this verified to do stats, and then you can just pass in an object, and in that object define total, completed, and remaining. And it's a lot more elegant just to verify the stats. Very easy, much easier to do this than doing 3 lines of this. Then clearing all the to-dos, of course, you don't have to go through all this crap again. And yeah, and at the very end, after you've cleared everything out, you get to verify the to-do stats again very easily versus this. So it reduces the amount of code, or reduces a lot of this copy-paste repetition, and it helps protect you from changes, because on this one, you know, even though the app changes, like all this, how things are done, if you abstract it out now, then you have an abstracted kind of domain-specific language. And by that, like add multiple to-dos. For a to-do app, adding and removing and completing to-dos is part of the domain-specific language. So now this is written in a way that mimics how the app works, versus how on the left you're mimicking how Cypress works. See that difference? So in my opinion, on the right here, this is more maintainable, more elegant, less code, and it's easier for someone new to jump in and start understanding what your code is doing. Because if something fails in here on the left, it's a little bit painful to get through. And this is just an easy app. So imagine something that's actually complex and the code to get there. Adding these custom commands will really help simplify things out and put things into logical functions. Once we write our own command in the next section, you'll see how simple it really is and why it saves so much time when you're scaling up a test suite. And a quick reminder, if this kind of test cleanup is what you need, download my top 5 test automation best practices guide. It's got examples just like this to help take your test to help take your test to the next level. All right, let me show you how exactly to create a custom Cypress command from scratch. Now let's write a custom command from scratch. So we're going to do 2 custom commands. The first one is going to get the to-do element. And that to-do element would be this right here, this to-do element. Then after we get that to-do element, we're going to toggle this checkbox. That's it. So let's see how to do that. Let's make a couple custom commands. So the first thing we want to do is get that to-do element. So let's start off our custom command, cypress.commands.add. From here, we're going to make the name. Let's call this one get to do by text. And let's see, here is the text we want to throw in. And here's what we do. So Cypress commands.add, that's how you add a new custom command. And get to do by text, that's going to be the name of the function. So we're going to do sci.get to do by text. And then we're going to pass in this text. And that'll be, in the example we had over here, that would be like get Terrifier costume. We'd search for that and it would return this whole to-do element. Oops. Let's write up the code for that really quick. We are going to return sci.contains. We're going to isolate this to the dot to do dash item dot to do dash text. So the contains thing is only going to look inside selectors that match this. So we only have our to do items and the to do text classes. And then we just pass in the text. Let's go look at the app here and see if that matches. Let's inspect this. Okay. Scroll this one up on top so we can see a little bit better. All right, so here's the span, and what do we do? Oh yeah, here's the class to do text, and above that, to do checkbox. I'm just looking at the, make sure we're doing things right. Here's to do text, cool. So it's gonna search anything that has to do text, and it has to be a child of something with to do content. Is that, oh, to do item. Okay, so to do item, and then it goes all the way down to do text, and it's going to get this text. But now we want to get, that's the first parent up here, but that's not the full item. The full item is one more up, and you can see it like hovers over all the surrounding style of this and has the container that's all, it's right here marked as draggable. So that's very important. So we want to get, we're going to find this first, but then we want to get the parent of that plus this thing's parent. So parent.parent. So this one returns that span item, but then we want its parent. Really gotta add some formatting stuff here. Anyway, and another its dot parent. And if we return this, it's going to return that div. So we're going to want to verify this. Let's get over here to and write a test and see if this is working correctly. All right, describe our own custom commands. And then let's get our test going here. No, you're failing me autocomplete. Fail. So this first Mocha test right here, it's going to be check our, let's see, oh yeah, check, well, let's check our custom commands. And let's get into the test here. First, we want to visit the page. And sci, why, I need to turn this off. All right, sci, stop, dot visit, / we have the base URL already plugged in the configuration. So that'll go to the page, and now we're gonna check out, actually first we need to add a to-do, sci.add to-do. And stick with that Terrifier clown thing in the other one. Watch Terrifier 3, which I have not done yet. I need to watch Terrifier 3. So that'll be added to the to-do list. And now we want to get this item and return it. So const to-do item equals sci.get, what do we call it? Get to do by text. And watch Terrifier 3. And once it gives us this item over here, let's print out the HTML and see if it looks the way we expect it to look. So we got this item, and I think all I have to do is to do item dot then $el Fingers crossed this doesn't blow up in my face. All right, and then let's side.log this out. Side.log. I think sorry, I'm kind of going for some notes here, but I think it is called outer HTML. And this should log, if I did it right, should log out all that stuff. So let's look over at our test going on here. Okay, we got lesson 3 happening. And cool, it all passed, but all right, it did it. It added, sorry, rerun that one more time. Cool, it added watch Terrifier 3 and it returned that, and there it goes. There's what I expect. There's that draggable class item, so it's got the full thing right there. Cool. Now I can get rid of this code because I just wanted to prove that I'm getting the right object here just by doing this. All right, so we got the to-do item here. I don't think we're even gonna need this. This is more of a helper method. So I think we can get rid of this from this test as well. Let's go over the next one we wanted to do here. We wanted to toggle that checkbox. Let's start this off again. So Cypress commands.add. We're adding a new custom command here, and we're going to call it toggle to do. And we're going to pass it what the text of the to-do item that we want. To-do text. Now we're going to invoke that side.get to do by text that we just wrote. We're going to pass in that to do text. And now that we have the full, we just proven before that gives us the element of the full to do item. Now we just need to find that checkbox and click it. And if we look over here, what is the checkbox? Go back to here. So the checkbox is right here. And so we can just use the class here, to do checkbox. There's other ways, and I think there's even a checkable class or checkable method in Cypress, but we're just going to grab this to keep this lesson simple and just get this class and then hit .click and see what happens here. So we're going to find, what was that? To do dash checkbox. So dot to do dash checkbox to get the class. The dot is the class for CSS selectors. Okay, and finally, I'm just going to separate this out to make it not be like a giant bunch of code right here, just a wall of text. Do fine, and then dot click. So this one, we're add a new toggle to do. We're going to find that checkbox item, and then we're going to click that checkbox. Now let's go over here and make this happen. So we added watch Terrifier 3. Now we want to toggle sci.toggle to do watch Terrifier 3. So if we did this right, then we should have this checked. Let's go check out and see what the test did. Run it one more time, and there he goes. It checked it. Boom, right there. First it found the checkbox, then clicked on it. So we did it. This is our first custom command. If you were following along, you just wrote your first custom commands, and I think doing it this way will get you I swear, like 80% of what you want from most custom commands. But there are a couple of types of custom commands that you will also want to be familiar with just in case you need them. And that's coming up in the next section. Looks easy, right? But here's where it gets even more interesting. You can actually chain your own custom commands, and that's what we're driving into next. You've seen .click and .type chain naturally in your Cypress, but what if your custom command could chain exactly the same way? You can use the prev subject element to build custom commands that operate directly on selected DOM elements, like sci.get.highlight or something like that. So we're gonna do a little screen share here, and we're gonna show how to do that. Now let's dig into chaining commands and the parent, child, and dual custom commands. And so first, I'm just going to explain the difference between parent and child, and it's pretty easy to get. So right here, sci.get, that is the parent. It always has to be the first thing in the Cypress chain. In fact, you can't call sci.get twice in a row, chained off each other, like sci.get, like some top level item, like the body. Oops. And then call it again and get .get, like the header, like h1. You can't do that. It's gonna be an error. Instead, if you're gonna chain off of get, you have to use find. Why is that? Get is a parent command. It does not work off of previous commands. Find, on the other hand, can work as both a parent and a child, but in this instance, it's working as a child, and it's receiving the result of the get, and then it's finding the h1 within what get gave it. I know it's a little bit more clunky to say. I think it's a little bit easier to see .click as being a child command. So here's the parent. It gives you the button. .click can only act on what a parent gives it. It can only click on an element passed to it. So it's always going to be a child command. And an example of a dual command is one that can act as both a parent and a child. So if sci.contains does that. So you can find some foo thing and it's going to return an element. And then if there's text within there, you can go contains dot, you can find contain bar, and it'll do a further search into it. So this contain does not require a previous subject to it. It'll just act like it's the parent, and then it'll pass this element into this one, and this one will act like a child. So when it can act as both a parent and a child, that is called a dual type of command. Let me get rid of these guys. So hopefully that explains the parent-child dual relationship. I think a lot of the times you're probably going to be doing a parent type situation for these global type methods. But here's how to do the child method. What we're going to do is we're going to rewrite this toggle to do, because toggle to do right now is a parent. It does not take any other previous element at all. All it does is takes like, hey, it has to be the top level element. What we're going to do is change that to a child element. And also kind of going into, before I even do that, just going into this here kind of shows you some chaining going on here. So this one is showing that it's returning, at the end of it all, you're returning another Cypress element. And as you can see down here, since you returned a chainable Cypress element from this command, you now see that I can now chain off it. Sci.get to do by text. Oh, it returns that item, and then I can now do find and .click on that item. So in order to have it be chained, you have to be able to return a chainable element in order to chain off of it. That's the first thing of chaining things. So if you want to have a child, you need to have a parent that returns an element. So this add to do does not return a child, or it doesn't return a clickable, it doesn't return a chainable Cypress element. And actually, now that I said that out loud, it probably should. So we could just do return the new to-do item that we just added. I think I can even do that by do get to do by text and just return that. So to make that chainable, we can just go return. Okay, I'm curious. All right, so this is now. I'm sorry, I am devolving. We're going to get down to here to toggle to do, but this is just to show you some chainability of a custom command. So here we're going to return. We're going to use this get to do by text. So we added this here. Now we're going to return sci.get to do by text. And that'll be the pass in that to do text again. So this adds it, and then we return the element that we just added. Now if we go over here to this test, actually we had another test here, lesson 3. Let's now poke around with that. This one we were adding to do, and then we're toggling to do. And as soon as we add this, oh, okay, yeah. As soon as we make this toggle to do to be a child, okay, I see where I'm going with this. Thank you for joining along with me figuring out my own code. All right. Oops. Oh, what am I? I'm clicking everything except the right button. There we go. So what I want to happen now is sci.add_to_do is going to return that the to-do element it just added, but now we want to do .toggle to do with nothing. We're not going to pass in this watch Terrifier 3 again because it just returned it here. And then we want to toggle it because we already know what we got. But right now we cannot do it that way. And that's because toggle to do is a parent element. In order to get this to be a child element instead, we're going to have to add another few parameters here and change things. So the first thing we have here after this is the toggle to do, which is the new function name that we're adding, the new function command we're adding. Now we need to add something else here, and we need to tell it, hey, prev subject element. Now that tells Cypress that we're expecting a previous subject here. Something else had to have happened before we've called toggle to do. So it is now a child as soon as you put this prev subject. There's one extra thing you need to do. You need to actually put in the subject right here. And now we're going to have to redo some of this stuff. We're not going to have to find the get to do by text. Oh, actually, we have to get rid of this to do text as well. Oops, and I forgot to add, that's why it's angry at me, another comma right here. So this is make it a child element. Make it a child command. And then here must reference the previous subject. So now this get to do by text doesn't really even make sense anymore. I think all we need to do is just do the subject, and we can see up here that this is returning, whoops, this is returning the new added item, newly added item. And here we're just finding the checkbox within that and clicking it. Let's see if this actually works. I am curious. So the way it's done right now, it should actually work. Run this. I had that lesson 3. And would you look at that? It all worked. We toggled it right there. It found it, treated it like a child, toggled it. So please keep in mind though, when you are returning an item, returning stuff here, it has to be a Cypress chainable object. So if you return just a string or text, it won't work to be chainable. So if this, you would need to wrap it. So actually a good practice here is to do sci.wrap. Right there. And the test should still work, theoretically. Oh, no, it does not. Oh, I forget everything I said. Where was I? I don't even know. So everything we return from these, in order to be chainable, has to be a chainable object. If it's not, if it's something like text, then you would have to return something like, and yeah, I know this is not correct code, so I'm just doing this as an example. Return sci.wrap and like some string or whatever object or whatever. If it's not naturally a Cypress chainable thing, you need to do a sci.wrap and then return it. But in this case, they're all chainable objects. We can just return that because we know what we're returning. We're returning a Cypress object to the caller. So it should continue the chaining. But do we want to make this chainable as well? What do you think? Really, I think a good practice here, if we want things to be fully chainable, is return sci. Let's see if this works. Sci.wrap subject. I think we can just return the subject by itself, but I'm playing with this to see if that works. And if this works, we should be able to toggle twice. Let me get rid of this. Toggle to do. Dot toggle to do. So if this works, then toggle to do, it should be untoggled. So this one will actually check it, and this should uncheck it. So it should be unchecked at the end of the test. And we see it's unchecked right here. Let's run it one more time. Yeah, there it did. It did it. I'm not sure if pause is chainable. I mean, sci.pause or wait for, let's wait for a second here. I think wait is chainable like that. And let's run it. Yeah, okay, I did it just so we could see it actually doing its thing here. So let's watch that one more time. Yep, waits for a second and then turns off. And then again, that demonstrates that wait here. Not only it is a child command, and I think it is also a parent command, so it is a dual command as well. But you can see that it returns the subject, even though it doesn't really do anything with the subject. In order to make it chainable, it still returns the subject. So if you want to keep your stuff chainable, and you got something in here that, like, you have a debug thing or something else that isn't actually acting on this item, then you still return the subject to make it chainable. Yeah, and the sci.wrap, if you don't know if your subject is chainable or not, then wrap it. But what if we still want toggle to do to be a dual command? We still want to call it top level. Like here, we got rid of that that toggle, let's see, like we want to call toggle to do as a top level, a parent command here. Watch Terrifier 3. So now it would be a parent command. And here it's a child command that doesn't take it anything. And here it's going to be a parent command that does take something. So how would we write code for this? Right now you can see it is failing inside here because it doesn't, it's a child command and we're treating it like a parent command. Right there it even tells you a child command must be chained after a parent. So how would we fix this? So here's the toggle to do. The first thing we need to do is to tell the previous subject and tell Cypress, hey, this is actually optional. Cool. So let's change this here and make it a dual command by doing this optional thing. We're still going to pass in the subject, but we also want to do that to do text. Let's go down here a little bit. So how do we know? This could be chained in any type of way, but what I would say is this to do text by default equals no. It is an optional command. Or optional parameter, I'm sorry. And then we just do a check here. Hey, if to do text, we are going to do what was the name of this one? Get to do by text. Get to do by text. And that's to do text. Then we're going to, actually at this point, I see what I can do here. Okay. I'm just gonna, no, I was thinking I could just assign the subject and then, I don't do this very often because you have to really think it through. Dual commands are a little bit more complex, but let's just make it simple. Our dual command is going to return the to-do object, the new toggle to do. So this one, we don't know what the previous subject's going to be, but we're going to be returning what's returned by this get to do by text. Regardless of, we're going to be returning the item. Oh, sorry. My brain, it's getting, again, I'm doing this stuff when it's late and my brain won't work. But anyway, so we're either going to return the subject here or we're going to return what we find right here. Either way, we're returning the chainable subject right here. So if to do text, we're going to get this. We're going to .find that .to do checkbox and .click. And then down here, else. And here for the return, if it's the subject is probably, we're just going to return here. Or return, we're always going to be returning the thing, so I think, looking at this, I think I can simplify a little bit. Yeah, I can totally simplify. I think up here, if to do text, I'm just going to say subject equals this. Okay, now get rid of this else clause right here. I don't know if this will work or not. Oh, I need to get my formatters one of these days. And a return right here. Oops. No, that's right. No, that's not right. Get rid of this return. Oh, everything is ugly right here. Let me format. So I didn't set things up to auto format as I go. Let me just format here. Format selection. Cool. Oh, no, I'm not going to do that. All right, never mind. It wants to do a bunch of stuff. And I don't want to derail this by doing that. Okay, so this is an experiment. I don't know if this will work or not. So I think we need to go over to the test and see if the test worked. Oh, nope. No, it did not work. And why did it not work? You don't need to wrap them or return your own promise. Cypress will resolve your command with whatever the final Cypress command yields. So it does not like this. I don't know, I guess just return subject. Cool, it did that. I guess it does not want me to do the sci.wrap thing, even though I did it up here. That's something I need to learn. I apologize, I don't understand that. Sometimes I get lost on that stuff with Cypress. What to wrap and what not to wrap, and what to alias and what not to. I thought I should just be able to wrap that, but since it's already, I think since it's already a chainable thing, it's like, hey, whatever. I'm just going to return it. I don't know. I can't. I'll need to dig into that a little bit more. Probably get a little session with ChatGPT and find the answer for you. But if you're still curious about it, let me know in the comments about the sci.wrap stuff. If you want me to dig in further why that didn't work, please let me know. I'm curious. I'm probably going to... No, I'm lying. I'm going to totally forget about doing any of this right after I hit publish. So if you want to know anything, just comment below and then remind me to get you an answer. Because if you ask me, I will make it a priority. So this works. So what I'm doing here, let's get back to business here. I'm just checking if someone passed in a to-do. If they passed in a to-do, then we know we want to search this to-do and return that new to-do item. Because we're toggling that one, and it's always going to return whatever we acted on. So I'm just overriding the subject and then doing this. So let's see. Go back to the test here. So this one, and if I add another sci.wait right there. So what the expected thing is, we're going to add the watch Terrifier 3 item. We're going to check it. We're going to wait a second. We're going to uncheck it, wait a second, and then we're going to check it one more time. So finally, at the very end, it should be checked. And we see right now it is checked when it ran in the background, but let's verify that. All right, uncheck, check again, and now it's completed. Perfect, and that is a dual command. That is how you chain things in Cypress. Sorry, I'm getting my sci.wrap stuff mixed up. There are instances you need to use sci.wrap, and I think it's, especially when it's not the subject or what you're returning isn't a chainable thing by default, or a Cypress object by default. This opens up a whole new world. Want to write your own clear and type or drag and drop commands? You can. We'll talk more about how to keep all those organized in the next section. Now that you've got all these powerful commands, where do you put them all? Because commands.js can get out of hand fast. I've seen it. It gets pretty ugly. So you got to break your commands down into logical files, and then Once you break those down, you can reference them back into commands.js. Let's jump in and see how that's done and get a couple things organized. This to-do app is extremely simplistic, and putting all the commands here into this one commands file, it's probably not a bad idea for a very small app. But if you're working on a real enterprise app, you're working with multiple teams, and they're all adding stuff into the same file, it's going to get out of control quickly. And also, it's hard to tell because everything looks like Cypress commands add, Cypress command add, Cypress. How do you find related functionality? Like, say this to-do list was just one piece of functionality to this app. Like, there's a to-do, just like Google Calendar or Office Calendar. It has a calendar, and it has an email, and it has to-do lists, and it has whatever other things that are in there. So we want to group this in a functional way. So we really want to break our commands out into separate files, and it's very easy to do. So let's open up our file explorer here. And so everything is under commands here, support commands. That is where everything happens here for these custom commands. Oh my God, and I hope I said that at the very beginning of the video before I started adding all this stuff. Oh, Mr. Jackson, you need to stay on top of it. All right, so commands.js is the one file. But if we wanted to break things out, let's start by, we can just add like a new folder here and call it to do. And now we'll just create a new file in there and let's call it our to do commands. And it doesn't need to be another folder. It could have just been another file called to do commands. But what if this to do app had a whole bunch of other functionalities within it, and you wanted to break those down too? So I'm just showing you, here's a folder. Everything around that functionality and to do is under this folder. And I'm going to go over here to these commands that we created, and I'm going to cut them. And I'm going to paste them into this new one. This is not going to work quite yet. Let me just demonstrate that in the test. Yeah. Now it doesn't recognize add to do as a function. We just removed it from the commands.js. So the way to fix that, so we've got all these things in this to do commands.js, but we want the main commands.js to have everything. So at the very top, all you have to do is import that file. Import to do commands. Let me save it. If we go back, look at that. It's running again. The test now works. It recognized all the commands. So very, very easy to just move those out, and you can break up this giant commands into something more maintainable. So it's very important. The most important thing you can do in your engineering career is make things readable and easy to maintain. If not for your office mates or for your coworkers, then for yourself when you have to come back to this code in 6 months and you don't remember anything that you did and it all looks like a nightmarish mess, you're going to thank yourself for doing these things and breaking things out into easy to use components. Just breaking things down and making it logically grouped. I think it's called separation of concerns. So when you throw everything into this thing, that's not a separation of concerns, but you take all that functionality and put it in here, you are now separating out the concerns. And again, you can add as many things as you want in here. Import as many files. So if you have a ton of stuff, like, hey, there's a to-do, there's a calendar, there's email, there's your new chatbot overlord section here. Yeah, it'll still work. You just keep importing things in as you add them. This structure not only helps you, but makes life easier for anyone jumping into your code base. And if you're curious what other test patterns I use, I've packed them into my free guide, Top 5 Test Automation Best Practices. The link's in the description. So now you know how to write custom Cypress commands. clean up repetitive test logic, chain commands like a pro, and keep everything organized for scale. Here's a question for you though. What's the most repetitive bit of test code you wish you could turn into a command? Drop that into the comments and let me know what you think. Let me know if there's anything you'd like me to cover. Please just drop a little comment below and I would love to reply, talk to you, and see what you want me to cover or dig into deeper into these custom commands. Please, I'd love to hear from you. And if you haven't already, get the top 5 test automation best practices. Grab it below in the description. Now that you know Cypress custom commands, you might be wondering about mocking data in Cypress. How would you do that? It all starts by watching this next video, because when you pair what you just learned with what's in this video, way more powerful. All right, happy testing everybody. See you next time.